Welcome to part 29 of the Ultimate Unsolved Mysteries Iceberg. In this series, we deep dive cases including true crime, mysterious disappearances, myths and legends, strange events, internet mysteries, and more. Also, I upload about 5 times per week, so make sure to subscribe for a constant stream of high quality content. The Brittany Murphy and Simon Monjack Mystery. Brittany Murphy, born November 10th, 1977, in Atlanta, Georgia, moved to Los Angeles as a teenager to pursue an acting career. She marked her entry into Hollywood with the 1995 teen comedy Clueless, where she co-starred as Ty Frazier. Her career flourished in the late 90s, and by the early 2000s she had secured significant roles in 8 Mile and Sin City, amongst other massive box office hits. Further, her work as a voice actor for the character of Luann on King of the Hill was also lauded by both critics and fans alike. In terms of other endeavors, she also had a respectable music career. However, given her massive success as an actor, in general, this portion of her career is relegated to a footnote. Outside her professional career, she captured headlines in the early and mid-2000s for her relationship with leading man Ashton Kutcher. However, this relationship was not to be, with the couple ending the romance sometime in early 2006. In April 2007, Brittany Murphy married British screenwriter and producer Simon Monjack. Monjack had a troubled history and had been charged with credit card fraud in 2005. However, the charges were later dropped by the prosecution. Further, Monjack had civil litigation troubles in relation to a number of mortgages which went sideways. Further yet, he had also once faced deportation from the United States on the basis of violations of the terms of his visa. On December 20th, 2009, at the age of 32, Brittany Murphy's life came to a sudden, mysterious, and tragic end in her Hollywood Hills home. The Los Angeles County Coroner's Office declared her cause of death as pneumonia, exacerbated by anemia, and combined legal drug intoxication. Brittany's personal life, particularly after her marriage to Simon Monjack, who also died under similar circumstances just 5 months after her, has been a subject of speculation and intrigue. Brittany had undergone severe physical changes after her marriage, most notably an immense loss of weight. A 2021 documentary entitled What Happened Brittany Murphy makes numerous allegations against Simon Monjack. These allegations include Monjack's own friends accusing him of not allowing Brittany Murphy to interact with her friends and family. Obviously a very major red flag if true. Further, these friends of Monjack also alleged that Monjack was in part responsible for Brittany's drastic weight loss. However, it is important to state that these are allegations only, and neither Monjack nor Murphy are around to confirm or deny the veracity of these allegations. However, there's another entirely different reason Brittany Murphy and Simon Monjack may have passed away. According to Sharon Murphy, Brittany's mother, toxic mold in the house was responsible for the passing of both individuals. However, this has never been verified, and the Los Angeles Assistant Chief Coroner stated that there were, quote, no indicators that mold played a part in Brittany's passing. Also, there's a postscript to this story which again does not put Simon Monjack in a positive light. In January 2010, Sharon Murphy and Simon Monjack inaugurated the, quote, Brittany Murphy Foundation. This quote-unquote charitable organization was founded to support children's arts education and fund cancer research initiatives. The official launch of the foundation took place on February 4, 2010, during a fundraising gala held in Beverly Hills. Subsequent to the event, a check on the organization's legal status uncovered that it had not completed the necessary paperwork to secure not-for-profit status. As a result, the foundation took the step of returning all donations it had received. A formal announcement on the Foundation's website explained that in the eagerness to launch the Foundation, an error occurred. It was claimed that the Foundation was initially set up as a private foundation, with intentions to seek nonprofit status at a later date. The statement further clarified that the decision had been made to postpone further activities until the nonprofit status was officially obtained. However, this didn't happen until November 2013, and even then, when it did, it was relaunched by Brittany Murphy's father. But at any rate, there's still no clear answer as to how two young and apparently healthy people degenerated so rapidly that they passed away within mere months from one another. Also, yes, there's one more thing about Simon Monjack and Sharon Murphy. There are allegations that the two engaged in a relationship after the passing of Brittany Murphy, or at the very least that they shared a bed. Again, like many of the other allegations in this case, there's no way to confirm or deny it, but it's just one more rabbit hole to go down. At any rate, personally, I would dismiss this theory as typical tabloid gossip, unless anyone has any reason to suggest otherwise. The Irish Crown Jewels. This is another excellent suggestion from frequent contributor Lauren Redmond. Thank you so much for this amazing suggestion, as always. The Irish Crown Jewels, also known as the Jewels of the Order of St. Patrick, were a symbol of the British monarchy's connection to Ireland. Created in 1831, these jewels comprised a heavily jeweled star and badge that were worn by the Grand Master of the Order. The pieces themselves were made of diamonds, emeralds, and rubies, set in gold and valued at approximately $20 million today. Despite their significance, the jewels were notoriously stolen from Dublin Castle on July 6, 1907, a theft that has remained one of Ireland's most enduring mysteries. The circumstances surrounding the disappearance of the jewels are riddled with either intrigue or negligence. They were kept in a safe in the Office of Arms at Dublin Castle, guarded by Sir Arthur Vickers, the Ulster King of Arms. Security measures were lax. Vickers reportedly had a habit of drinking to excess and was known to have misplaced the keys to the safe on at least one occasion. Further indicating that Vickers may have had a problem drinking is the fact that on another occasion he got so wasted that he blacked out and woke up adorned with the crown jewels. Vickers, perhaps being a somewhat irresponsible person, never investigated the latter incident further, and it was unclear if this incident was the result of a drunken stupor or a dry run for the heist. On July 6, 1907, just days before a visit from King Edward VII, it was discovered that the jewels had gone missing. Investigations into the theft turned up a plethora of theories, but no concrete answers. Initial suspicion fell on Vickers himself, though no evidence could conclusively link him to the crime. Another figure, Francis Shackleton, brother of the famous explorer Ernest Shackleton, emerged as a suspect. This less famous Shackleton was Vickers' second in command and also had access to the key and the ability to borrow it and duplicate it as well. Vickers publicly accused Shackleton of being responsible for the heist. However, no evidence was offered in favor of this. Yet, despite accusations and a commission of inquiry that ultimately led to Vickers' dismissal, the true perpetrator was never identified, and the jewels were never recovered. Theories about the jewels' fate have ranged widely, and no definitive most likely explanation exists. Despite exhaustive searches and investigations, including one by Scotland Yard, the jewels' whereabouts remain unknown. Also, just a quick aside, this situation with Arthur Vickers and the Irish Crown Jewels reminds me of the comic negligence of Homer Simpson in the episode Homer Goes to College. In this episode, the nuclear power plant is undergoing an inspection by a regulatory body, and Mr. Burns wants to hide Homer and two other low-performing employees from the regulators. Smithers sets up a jar with a bee in it and puts Homer and the two others in the basement of the power plant, where Homer is made the, quote, head bee watching guy. Of course, Homer manages to screw up this simple task regardless, and the bee escapes. In our case, Vickers is clearly the bumbling Homer character in this situation. Anyway, though, back to the case at hand. Another theory revolves around the sexual orientation of Vickers and Shackleton. Vickers and Shackleton were, to use the language of the Victorian era, quote-unquote confirmed bachelors. Let's just say the parties at Dublin Castle got very wild in a manner that would knock the monocle out of the eye of your average Victorian-era aristocrat. Further, Vickers and Shackleton were alleged to have had a quote-unquote close relationship with King Edward VII's brother-in-law. This led to two related theories, both of which are permutations on the same idea. The first theory is that Vickers and company openly stole the Irish crown jewels, knowing that Edward VII wouldn't want the nature of the relationship between a member of the royal family known. Under this theory, Vickers and his crew weren't actually bumbling oafs, but rather used their relations with the king's brother-in-law as a form of extortion. Under the second theory, Vickers was put up to the task of the theft by someone who knew of his relationship with the king's brother-in-law. In this formulation, if Vickers hadn't committed the offense, the blackmailer would have exposed the fact that the king's brother-in-law was participating in bawdy male-only parties. Another theory, which has become increasingly popular over the years, is that the crown jewels were stolen by Irish independence activists. In this theory, after the activists stole or facilitated the theft of the crown jewels were ferried to the United States. Once the jewels were stateside, pro-Irish independence elements turned the jewels to funds, perhaps again using pro-Irish networks in America. These funds were then reinvested into the cause of Irish liberation from the British state. That said, there's no apparent evidence to support this theory. Anyway, let me know what your thoughts are on the Irish crown jewels. Which theory do you prefer, or do you have a theory of your own? Hey everyone, Jimmy here, the YouTuber behind the Lazy Chill Zone channel. If you're enjoying my content, please hit the like and subscribe buttons and the notification bell. My goal is to create the most expansive iceberg series in YouTube history, and I want you all along for the ride. Consider signing up for a YouTube membership and joining the Patreon. Your support allows me to dedicate a large amount of my time to content creation. Also, remember to join the Discord community. We've got well over 60 members now, and the community is super active. Click the link in the description. Kazakhstan Black Ring UFO. This is a suggestion by patron and Discord community member Iced Mocha. Thank you so much for suggesting this case to me and providing links. This appears to be the first time this case has been covered in the English-speaking world. Remember to add any of your suggestions in the comments below, or join up in the Discord and post your suggestions there and communicate with me directly. On April 3rd, 2015, a video of a mysterious black ring hovering in the sky emerged and sparked rumors of a potential UFO sighting. The footage depicted an unusual black ring floating in a clear blue sky above a small village near Astana, the capital of Kazakhstan. Stunned locals observed the phenomenon for several minutes before it dissipated, leaving them in awe. One witness described it resembling a black cloud, noting its sudden disappearance without any odor. The video quickly garnered attention, going viral on Russian language websites and fueling speculation about its origin. Some viewers speculated that it could be an extraterrestrial spacecraft, while others posited more mundane explanations such as an unusual smoke ring. The video achieved such a level of virality that experts were called in to comment upon it. Andrei Solodnik, an associate physics professor at Northern Kazakhstan State University, estimated the ring to be approximately 100 meters in diameter, floating at an altitude of around 200 meters. He dismissed claims of UFO involvement, attributing the occurrence to a large and likely man-made smoke ring. That said, this didn't stop speculation into the nature of the sighting, especially given the location where it occurred. However, it's important to note that this region has a significant history of reported UFO sightings, adding to the intrigue surrounding this event. It's been speculated that the high number of sightings of UFOs in Kazakhstan is due to Kazakhstan housing one of the most important spaceports in the world, the Baikonur Cosmodrome. This spaceport, located within Kazakhstan, was once part of the Soviet Union together with Russia. This storied spaceport is the largest space launch facility in the world and was the site of numerous space firsts. However, upon the breakup of the Soviet Union, the Baikonur Cosmodrome was deep within Kazakh territory, and the newly formed Kazakh government had no ability to use it. Sputnik 1, the first satellite ever, launched from this cosmodrome. Sputnik 2, which carried the first ever mammal into space, Laika the space dog for those who don't know, launched from the cosmodrome as well. Finally, and perhaps most famously, Yuri Gagarin, the first human in space, launched from here as well. Two popular theories have been put forward to explain the level of UFO activity in this particular region. The first theory is that the United States is flying secret missions with highly classified technology in the region around Baikonur Cosmodrome for intelligence gathering purposes. In favor of this theory, due to the U-2 crash incident in 1960 in the region, it's public knowledge that the United States has flown secret cutting-edge aircraft within this airspace. The other theory is that the Cosmodrome has drawn the attention of an alien civilization or civilizations. After all, 3 of the most major civilizational milestones have taken place at the Cosmodrome. The significance of these 3 milestones discussed previously would be readily apparent to any spacefaring civilization. Therefore, under this theory, these UFOs are representatives of an alien civilization watching the progress of humanity. While there's no confirmed evidence in favor of this interpretation, as most of you know, we're living in exciting times for UFO disclosure, so who knows really? And to go back to the black ring itself, it's probably just a weird-looking smoke ring. The Tofu Kozo. The Tofu Kozo, translating to Tofu Boy in English, stands out among the pantheon of Japanese yokai for its unique blend of the eerie and the seemingly innocuous. And as a quick aside, yokai are mixtures of spirits, cryptids, demons, minor gods, ghosts, and other supernatural entities found throughout Japanese folklore. In the present day, the Tofu Kozo is fairly obscure. However, back in its heyday, it was amongst the most well-known yokai. This creature, first making its appearance in the literature of the 1770s, rapidly gained popularity in Edo period Japan, a time rich in urbanization and cultural development. Characterized by its depiction as a childlike entity bearing tofu, the Tofu Kozo navigates the fine line between the benign and the potentially malevolent. The Tofu Kozo was portrayed in literature of the time as humorous, with its decidedly non-menacing appearance, leading to it being picked on by other yokai. In some myths surrounding the Tofu Kozo, the creature follows humans on rainy nights, maintaining a set distance, and always holding out an offering of tofu on a plate. One of the more ominous legends surrounding the Tofu Kozo involves the consequences of consuming the tofu it offers. It is said that ingesting this tofu could lead to the growth of a deadly fungus inside the victim, ultimately draining their life force. This tale underscores the duality of the Tofu Kozo, juxtaposing its seemingly innocuous appearance with a hidden, deadly nature. However, this portion of the legend is thought to have been added later on, as a lesson for children not to accept food of unknown origin. And honestly, it's just good policy not to accept food from random creatures. Notably, there are other variants of the Tofu Kozo as well, with the most common variant depicting the creature as a one-eyed supernatural entity. By the end of the 19th century, the Tofu Kozo had largely faded from public consciousness, with this yokai no longer being commonly referenced or well known. Further, unlike other yokai which have now become ingrained in manga, anime, and video games, the Tofu Kozo has lacked any such renaissance. I guess it's just hard to be taken seriously when your main ability as a yokai is the ability to maintain a polite distance and offer tofu. The Rostron Sea Serpent. Okay, this is another suggestion from Lauren Redmond. Thanks for taking the time to improve the series with your amazing suggestions. The Rostron Sea Serpent, named after Captain Arthur Henry Rostron, is an intriguing piece of maritime folklore. Adding credibility to the tale, it's interwoven with the career of a distinguished sea captain, known for his heroic rescue of Titanic survivors. Captain Rostron's life at sea began immediately upon completion of his schooling, wherein he joined the British Merchant Navy as a cadet. Rostron would quickly distinguish himself through his good sense, work ethic, reliability, and bravery. His seafaring life was marked by command on numerous ships, leading up to his commendable efforts during the Titanic disaster, which earned him widespread acclaim and honors. To give just a few examples, he held the Congressional Gold Medal, given by the United States, and was also a commander of the Order of the British Empire. This is all to say that Captain Rostron was someone of extremely high credibility, and who was very unlikely to have any need to fabricate a sea monster encounter for attention. Further adding to the credibility of the sighting, Captain Rostron likely had a disincentive to report a sea monster sighting, given the potential ridicule it opened him to. Also, as a quick aside before we discuss the encounter itself, Captain Rostron had at one point captained the ill-fated ship, the Lusitania, which was sunk by the Imperial German Navy in 1915. However, luckily for Rostron, he had moved to a different command on that fateful day. Rostron's encounter with the Sea Serpent occurred in 1907, while he was serving as chief officer on the Campania off the Irish coast. According to his account, he and his crew spotted an unusual object in the water, which he initially instructed to steer clear of, thinking it was a sea monster. Rostron sketched the creature, describing it as having a head rising 8 or 9 feet out of the water and a neck trunk around 12 inches thick. There's little other evidence in relation to this sighting. However, Captain Rostron never recanted his account. I note that it would have been helpful to have other members of the crew publish their own accounts of the sighting. That said, maybe the other crew members didn't want to attract any ridicule or accusations, or perhaps the crew members didn't want to publish their contradictory accounts out of respect for the reputation of Captain Rostron. After all, he was accepted by everyone as a hero by the time this account came out, and making him look foolish could have numerous negative consequences. But let's get back to the description of this unknown sea creature. This sea creature, with a lengthy neck protruding several feet above the water, does not seem to resemble any known currently living sea creature. While some speculate the sighting could be attributed to a prehistoric survivor like a plesiosaur, such explanations stretch credulity given the lack of any credible evidence for their existence. Further, contrary to popular beliefs about the historical sea creature, while it did have an immensely long neck, it didn't have the ability to stick its head out of the water. The reason for this is that they were entirely ocean-bound and had no ability whatsoever to move on land. They didn't have gills, so they were forced to the surface on occasion to breathe. However, their physiology does not support them having the ability to raise their neck like a swan. That said, according to this theory, a modern variant would have had to have undergone approximately 200 million years of evolution so differences would have been likely. Another hypothesis is my own, but it draws upon the existence of another cryptid, the high-finned sperm whale. Perhaps Captain Rostron saw the dorsal fin of an elusive high-finned sperm whale, or perhaps just an unusually large dorsal fin of any large whale species in general. Others theorize that the sea monster was an optical illusion, perhaps formed by unusual sea conditions, which could distort the viewer's perception of an object or animal on the surface. I note that this hypothesis could also account for a dorsal fin misidentification. At any rate, given Captain Rostron's general level of credibility, and given that he had no need whatsoever to exaggerate his exploits, it's not hard to see why this case is so fascinating. The Looney Tunes Mandela Effect. The Looney Tunes Mandela Effect represents a fascinating instance of collective false memory. A significant portion of the population remembers the classic Warner Brothers animation series as Looney Toons, rather than its actual spelling, Looney Tunes. Quick aside, if this is the first time you're hearing of the Mandela Effect, it's the hypothesis that mass false memory scenarios are potentially caused by alternative timelines merging. If you've been an avid watcher of this series, some of the most famous examples are the Fruit of the Loom cornucopia, and of course the Berenstain Bears. The confusion between the two spellings is speculated to stem from several factors. One prominent theory suggests that the mix-up could be attributed to the similarity between the names of Looney Tunes and the 90s spin-off series Tiny Toon Adventures. Tiny Toon Adventures, commonly called Tiny Toons, featured child versions of the Looney Tunes characters. This similarity in naming could have led to a blending of the two in people's memories, reinforcing the incorrect spelling. Additionally, the similarity between tunes and toons further complicates the matter, as toons is a common abbreviation for cartoons. Sorry, couldn't resist that one. This is another Mandela effect that's easily solved by applying Occam's razor. People associate the Toons spelling with cartoons and made an assumption. Also, by way of explanation for the actual spelling of Looney Tunes, the series was developed with the purpose of showcasing Warner Brothers' music library. I feel comfortable stamping this one with a definitive case closed, but let me know if you disagree in the comments. The Kapre. This is a suggestion from Discord community member Marsh. Thanks for this one. The Kapre is a fascinating cryptid in Philippine folklore, often depicted as a giant hominid that dwells in trees and has a particular fondness for smoking. They're described as being up to 9 feet tall, having dark skin and dark thick hair covering most of their body. Some depictions of the creature portray them as being a part of the tree itself. They are said to inhabit large trees like acacias, mangoes, and banyans, blending into the natural environment with their tree-like appearance. Further, they're nocturnal creatures and are believed to sleep for most of the daytime, while other stories claim they're invisible during the day. Interestingly, Kapre are not necessarily malevolent, but can be mischievous, playing pranks on humans, such as making travelers lose their way in the forest or mountains. Despite their large size and occasional pranks, Kapre may also show a protective side, especially towards the natural environment or people they become fond of. If you're able to befriend one, according to some variants of the legend, they have the ability to grant wishes. As for what the Kapre phenomenon actually is, a number of suggestions have been made. The most common suggestion is that they're a personification of darkness. Others suggest they're a form of ape-like cryptid, which has not yet properly been classified by science. However, given the apparent widespread nature of these creatures, as well as the fact that they routinely smoke tobacco, I feel comfortable dismissing this claim outright. Others have speculated that they're a cultural memory of a once living hominid relative, which has had legendary attributes overlaid upon it over the centuries. At any rate, whatever these creatures are or represent, I think we can all agree the idea of walking through the jungle being observed by ape like tree dwelling giants is unnerving. Anyway, remember to check out the Patreon and the YouTube membership. Every little bit helps me devote even more time to this project. Also, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell if you haven't done so already. Like I said, I put out content constantly, and you don't want to miss it. Also, click the full tier playlist in the pinned comment below. There's literally dozens of hours of content for you to explore. Shout out to my patrons Noah Schubert, Ice Coffee, Kurt the Squirt, Monoxide Wendigo, Jeffer Metcalf, Z Volts, Director Delta, Unknown Delusions, and Blasphemous. Big shout out to YouTube members Jordan All and Syntax Nexus. And for everyone else, I love you all, and I'm so happy to have you here. Until next time, stay safe and healthy. Peace out, everyone.